I don't know. I mean, I'm not a mechanical expert. I don't know about that much about the mechanics of jumping. All I know is from years in football that every time I've seen players jump, especially they try to jump high and reach very high balls, they use their arms to propel themselves in the air. Now, whether mechanically something else could be done to propel them to the same height and keep their hands behind them, like we've tried to suggest players now need to run around with their arms behind their backs just in case there's an accidental handball involved, I don't know. But all of these things distress me and dismay me because they are certainly not making the spectacle of football any better, and they're making, they're starting to make a divide to some extent between players and coaches who've been involved in football a long time, who don't understand any need to change rules which have served the game so well for so long.
Because over the course of this season, we've had people like Kevin De Bruyne talk about the confusion around the handball rule. You've got this about jumping. Does football feel like it is changing and has changed over the last 5 years?
Well, it is changing, there's no doubt, and it would be a surprise if it didn't. Everything moves forward. Nothing stands still. But what you hope, of course, is that the changes are going to bring about an amelioration of the game itself. And I don't honestly believe that people would have thought, if we take the latest incident, that the game was served by Christian Benteke being sent off for honestly jumping and trying to head a ball. I don't think there'll be many people say, well, it made the game a lot better and it's how it should be.
Form-wise, after the Newcastle defeat, you've since put together a run of 3 games unbeaten. Do you feel like there's a bit of momentum there heading into a busy Christmas period?
I'm not a lover of the word momentum. I think that confidence is, of course, important, and there's no doubt that good results give you confidence and bad results drain your confidence. But I don't know about momentum, because momentum can quite easily be halted by your fixture schedule. We've had a tough one, playing away to West Brom and then having to go to play against Tottenham, who were top of the table at the time, West Ham, who were in the top 5 when we played them, and now Liverpool, who are once again top of the table. That's a very tough run of fixtures, but the good thing is that we're going into those fixtures with some belief that we know what we're doing and that we're capable of producing good performances even against teams of that quality. So in that respect, if that's what momentum is, then I would agree with its momentum, and I'm not certain that I'm a great fan of the word.
Are Liverpool still the team to beat?
Well, they are at the moment because they're top of the table. But I think that they'll undoubtedly think that it's going to be a bit tougher than it was last year, where they swept all before them, because the number of teams around them also competing for that top spot are getting more numerous and perhaps more powerful as well. So I think Jurgen knows that he's got a tough job in his hands to bring the championship back to Liverpool for successive seasons, but he's made a good start because they're top of the table.
And when you see him at the weekend, what will you say to the newly crowned manager of the year? And I just wonder if you can speak about what makes him such a winner as a coach.
Well, I think first, of course, I will congratulate him, and I'll congratulate him most heartily. I think it's a terrific award. It's a very prestigious award. You really are competing against lots and lots of top class coaches all over the world who've all had really great achievements. So, and for him, it's the second time he's won it, which I think is even more to be commended, because it's hard enough to get a look in and be nominated on one occasion. To win it twice is something quite incredible. So I'll tell him how pleased I am for him. I'll tell him how deserved I think the award was for last season, for the 20th season, where he's done so well. And of course, what makes him a good manager is what makes any manager a good manager. He has a very clear idea of what he wants his team to do. He works hard, obviously, on the training field to make certain the players understand what he wants from them, so that when they go on the field, they're capable of carrying out, if you like, a policy that as a team they want want to put together. He's obviously very good as a manager, because you see his relationship with his players. It's a very warm and friendly relationship, despite the fact that I'm sure he's always challenging them and pushing them in training. So it's not, he doesn't get success by being their friend. He gets success by being a top-class coach and manager, but he's able to also show those human qualities that make the players feel that they really want to play for him. So lots and lots of qualities, a very good choice in my opinion from FIFA on this occasion, and we'll have to try and do our best tomorrow to spoil any party that he's got planned.
Just a final one from me, Roy. What's your reaction to the news that Premier League players overwhelmingly continue to support the taking of the knee?
Well, I'm very pleased, first of all, they were consulted. I'm very pleased that they made the choice. I think that it's worrying when, doubts are being raised or questions being asked, should we carry on with this or not? The most important people to consult on that matter are the players. Do they think this is something that needs to be continued, and do they think it's still serving a purpose? Obviously they do, and I'm pleased to hear that, because the purpose it's serving is such an important one. To raise awareness about racism and what an evil it is. Everything that can be done has got to be applauded, and I really applaud the players for, first of all, deciding on this initiative, and I applaud them even more for deciding it's worth carrying on with, and I'm 100% behind it.
Roy, thanks very much. Good luck.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. We'll go to Mark Scott now, PLP.
Hello, Roy. Nice to see you again. I know that you said that you've looked quite potent going forwards in the last 3 matches that Palace have played. It's not just the goals you're going to miss with Christian being suspended, is it? Because his link-up play with Eze and Zaha has been really good as well.
Yes, I mean, since he's come back into the team, he's done extremely well. We're very pleased with him, and I think he would have been a big weapon tomorrow against Liverpool. I don't think they'd have been looking forward to playing against him in the form that he's in. So of course it's a miss from our side not to be able to use him, and it just makes, I suppose, the anger, I suppose you'd have to call it, that I felt on Wednesday night in seeing him dismissed for what I thought were 2 honest challenges to try and win the ball without any hint of any malice or any hint of trying to foul an opponent. To see him suspended by having been sent off just, I suppose, makes it even harder to take, but I know that we're going to miss him even more tomorrow in a game where his type of play and his presence would have been of big importance to us.
I know that obviously talent and tactics are the most important thing, but I know that you mentioned as well confidence and belief. Can that's been garnered from holding the team that were top last weekend in Tottenham maybe just give you an extra couple of % in terms of performance when you play the big teams like Liverpool?
Well, funny enough, through the years, we haven't done that bad against the big teams in terms of our performances. Sometimes the results haven't always gone our way, but there's been lots and lots of close occasions and lots of games where if we hadn't taken points from the game, we've believed that we should have done, thanks to the performance we've given. So it's good to be going into a game of this nature with some points in the bag after 3 performances that we're very happy with. But of course, every game produces new challenges, and it's the second weekend in a row that we meet the team that's currently at the top of the table, and teams aren't at the top of the table for no reason. They're there because they've got exceptional qualities. We're in the middle of the table, and so when you play a team at the top, you have to expect and understand that they're there for a reason, and there must be plenty of reasons that you're going to have to contend with during the course of the 90 minutes.
Liverpool maybe haven't been quite as imperious as they were last season, and as you mentioned, they swept all before them. But given the injuries that they've had, does the fact that they're top of the table again show just how impressive they're doing?
Yes, I think that's a very fair statement. I think if they have had plenty of injuries to deal with, and what's more, in the same part of the field, they've been really hard hit at centre back. So they've done exceptionally well to get through that period, and as you rightly say, they're still top of the table in a much closer league this year. And it just goes to show how well everyone at Liverpool Football Club is doing.
And I know that there's no easy games in the Premier League, but looking at Liverpool, do they pose an almost unique challenge in the type of game that they bring to their opposition in terms of other sides in the division? Are they a bit of a unique entity?
I don't know that I would go that far. I think it's very difficult to be a unique entity unless you do something quite strange, and even so, which people would find hard to watch or to understand. I think they have a very clear style of play, and that style of play is well ingrained, and they have the players that are very well suited to that style of play and who understand exactly what needs to be done. They don't have any weaknesses as such. They're very dangerous up front with players who've got a lot of individual ability and score goals. Their passing play is exceptionally good. They defend very well and press very well, and physically they're very strong. But they're not the only team in the league that has those qualities. There are others as well that competing with them to win the championship. So when you meet Liverpool, it's not as if, well, this is going to be something we've never seen before, because the week before we played Tottenham, and they've got some pretty good qualities themselves, and many of them along the same lines. So I fully respect and admire what Liverpool do, and I think they do extremely well. But I would prefer personally not to put it down to anything particularly strange. I would put it down myself to a very good football team with good players, very well coached and organised, and able to use their talents in the best possible way. And that is what football coaching and management is basically about.
Thanks, Roy. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Alex, how from BBC? Do you have a question?
Hi, Roy. Are you happy that the 5 sub got turned down and voted to stay as 3 subs in the Premier League?
I mean, I suppose my question is, how many times do I have to answer this before, what I've said on all the previous occasions, has been brought home. Basically, we were asked at the start of the season, many of us, whether we thought 5 subs was a good thing for our club or not. And at that stage, it was decided here at Crystal Palace that 5 subs would not suit us and what we need to do well in the league, and we voted against it. Nothing's changed in that respect, and at the latest vote, I presume, and I don't even know because I haven't spoken to Steve Parish about it, but I presume we voted the same way again because we think 3 subs is sufficient. I am pleased, however, that 9 players are being allowed onto the bench, which makes a vast difference, I think. It makes a vast difference in terms of running your team and looking after your team, because when you've got a full squad, everyone's fit, it's very hard to leave people out of the team, and then even harder to leave them out of the squad. So I'm pleased we can add 2 players to that, first of all. And secondly, of course, it does give everyone an advantage because it gives you a few more options, more variety, if you like, in terms of which 3 subs you want to use. So I was perfectly happy with the vote yesterday, and haven't changed my thoughts on the matter of 5 subs since the start of the season. However, I did say earlier that had there been a massive wave amongst all the teams in the league to change it, and Steve had asked me, what do you think? I just said, I'm more than happy to go along with it.
Thanks. And on follow-up to that, with rotation and the busy fixture schedule over the festive period, will the 9 subs help with that? And do you like the games being this close together?
The 9 subs won't help with that if you're talking about players possibly getting injured or whatever. Although I think that's a fairly fatuous argument anyway. Players get injured. They certainly get injured when there's lots of games being played at the same time. So you need a strong squad to replace them. In actual fact, will it help a great deal having extra? No, I don't think so necessarily. I think it will be good in terms, I said, being able to have more variety in your choice of player that you want to put on. And as far as, do I like playing 3 games a week or 5 games in 2 weeks? Not really. But at the same time, I've accepted it a long, long time ago that this is part and parcel of what we have to do in our league to get the fixtures played. And I've also accepted that the Christmas period is a period where people love to see football matches, and they love football matches being played, and that means that everyone in football in England has had to get used long ago to playing 2 or 3 matches very, very close together.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Alex. Glad to hear your name, Alex. Talk Sport.
Hi, Roy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I just want to go back to the 5 subs, and I know it's been your contention from day one that we should keep it 3 to 5. But there are different rules, different competitions. So when you're in the FA Cup, you can use 5. We're going to have concussion substitutes from beginning of next month as well. Is all that too confusing? Is it, and how does it fit with when we came back in Project Restart? The words we always used were integrity of the game.
No, I don't think it affects the integrity of the game. I don't think it's confusing. Different competitions, the FA Cups are totally different competitions to the Premier League. So the fact that 5 subs will be allowed in that won't take a lot of getting used to. And each of us will be used by that time of having 9 players on the bench. It just means we can use 2 more of them. As far as the concussion substitutes are concerned, I think that's basically a no-brainer, to be honest. I mean, no one wants to see players being encouraged to stagger on and carry on when there's a risk, a serious risk to their health through concussion. So now any suggestion that, well, we needed to carry on because we'd used up our substitutes, or we didn't think there was enough firepower on the bench to replace this important player, that's been taken out of the equation, taken out of the coaches and the doctors' hands. All of these things for me are very positive. So I was positive to both of the changes that were made yesterday. And as far as your point about confusion in integrity, the integrity of the FA Cup won't be affected because it'll be 5 subs right the way through, at least for Premier League clubs.
When you're taking on Liverpool, the first thing that as a journalist, you look at is their front 3. Their front 3 is amazing. Mane, Salah, Firmino. As a coach, is that where you start on how to stop Liverpool, the front 3?
Well, certainly when you're talking about your defending, absolutely. If you're talking about defending, that's going to be one of your major concerns, the way those 3 play together, the problems that they cause, and also their technical ability. That when anything happens that gives them a sight at goal and gives them a chance to get shots away at goal, they're likely to do so and even score from it. But of course, you always have to take the game globally. If you're going to try and get a result against Liverpool, you've got to think about how you're going to attack against them as well, and how you're going to maximise any qualities that you might have. But I don't think you're ever going to see a team winning championships, at least not in the future, without them having some exceptional players somewhere in the attacking part of the field. It might be a number 10, it might be someone who makes runs from the midfield and scores goals, it might be the forwards they have up there, it might be the fullbacks who play a very important part of Liverpool. It might be their ability to get in behind your defence and produce crosses. I think that's always going to be a part of it. So you don't have to worry. Your job will be more than safe for years to come if it's a question of analysing where teams are in that respect. You'll have no shortage of candidates.
Cheers, Roy. Embry Chieze, I think he's been brilliant for you since his arrival. Has he even surprised you how good he's been? Because sometimes when you take a player out of the Championship, you're not sure, and you may want to give him a little bit more time to get used to the Premier League, but he hasn't needed that time, has he? No,
and I think it's a case for a lot of players recently who've come out of the Championship. I think a lot of them are, people have raised eyebrows, is he going to be able to raise his game to the next level? But they all seem to me to be proving that they can. What's more, doing it with great aplomb. So surprised, I guess, only in the sense that you never know how long it's going to take a player to really get his feet under the table in a new football club and to adjust to a different level of football. That's always a concern for you. But if you believe in the player's talent and you believe in what he's going to bring to the team, and you've signed him for what he can bring to the team, then you don't need to be too surprised. You just have to be pleased, really, and happy that it's gone so well so early for a player that you know is going to be a big advantage and give a big advantage to his football club in the years to come.
And finally from me, you were asked earlier about Jurgen winning the FIFA Best Coach Award, and maybe I got the wrong inference. You seem to think that it can be really hard to be a good coach, but also a friend of the players. Yeah, I know, as you know, players that have played for you before, the likes of Danny Murphy, who literally see you almost as a father figure. You know, you're definitely a friend as well as a coach. You seem to be able to marry that up, being a good coach with being a friend of the players.
I don't think you need to be a friend of the players. I just think you need to show human qualities, one, and I think you need to make certain at all time the players understand how respectful and how grateful you are for their contributions, which are helping you to hopefully produce a winning team and get recognised as a good coach because you've got a winning team. So I think that the friendship is more a question of making certain that the players respect what you're trying to do and respect that you're doing it in the best possible interests of not only yourself and your club, but also in their interest. And I definitely don't think that coaches are ever going to succeed by trying to become friends with the players in the same way that they have their friends outside of football, or maybe their friends even within the team, because we do have a different responsibility. And I think all leadership skills are based very much on human qualities, and I think based a lot on praise rather than blame, looking for the positive rather than negative, looking for what you can say and do with them to make them feel better rather than making them feel anxious or apprehensive. So for me, it's all just part and parcel of what all of us should be looking to do in our jobs, because we know it's a proven and successful formula.
Brilliant, Roy. Have a great Christmas, my friend.
That's the same. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, George Sessions as PA.
Hi, Roy. Just a quick one from me.
Yeah.
Gary Cahill, I think you said it was a precaution that he didn't play on Wednesday. So is he fine for this weekend? And also Mamadou Sakho, what's the latest with him as well? Thank you.
Mamadou Sakho's got a slight calf strain that we're monitoring, so he doesn't come into the reckoning at the moment. But all of the three players that didn't play the other night who've been playing, they're back in the reckoning again, because all three of them were rested rather than dropped from the match, and the precaution was purely that he did 3 matches in a week. And I thought that with the quality of the bench that we have at the moment, the quality of players who've had to sort of step aside the last 2 or 3 games and watch these other guys play, I knew that I could trust them to go in and do an exceptionally good job for us against West Ham, and I was proven right, fortunately.
Thanks, Roy.
Pleasure.